Hi everyone, it's Nick with Build Up Advisory Group, and it's Fast Forward Fridays, a web series where we will quickly build what you know about infrastructure design in the nonprofit sector. Today's Fast Forward topic is how having too many organizational values can jeopardize your infrastructure. We've talked about organizational values in quite a few Fast Forward Fridays. In fact, we talked about the importance of defining and understanding your organizational values in creating an effective grant making process in Fast Build Friday, episode number 43. So I appreciate and know how important organizational values are, how important it is to understand what they are, and to be able to articulate and share those values so that you can effectively build your infrastructure. So, why am I talking then about how organizational values can jeopardize your infrastructure? Well, when you have too many organizational values, you actually jeopardize the strength of your infrastructure and the sustainability of your organization. And I want to talk about why that is. When an organization has a long list of organizational values listed on its website or in its communication materials, it's a signal to me that the leadership and team within that organization likely struggle with understanding and articulating what their organizational values are. And as a result, they're likely diluting their message, mission, and ultimately how they can effectively strengthen their organization to advance that mission. So, how many values are too many? How many are just right? Well, you can't really provide one perfect number of organizational values for any and every organization, but I can tell when you have too many. When you have double digit organizational values, that's too many. So when you have 10 organizational values or 12 organizational values, and I've seen this, you're diluting your organization's mission and the way you're building your organization. How do I know this? When you have many organizational values and no one in the organization can repeat all of them or ensure that their work is being done according to those values each and every time they work with a strategic partner, grantee, or someone within the community they're serving, that's a fail. When staff can't articulate an organization's values because, in part, there are too many values to remember, and those same people are working within and on behalf of the organization, it also means that they can't build infrastructure according to these values. Instead, they're building according to some diluted message from the organization. And as a result, you can't then expect that your infrastructure will be built based on a strong vision because that's also diluted. This is why you might experience, despite your capacity building efforts, your governance not improving, the way you recruit board members not working, and the way you engage in grant making not being as effective because you're unable to build your infrastructure in a way that reflects your organizational values. So, how do you get to the quote, right number of organizational values? You have to ensure that you have the core organizational values that clearly inform everything the organization does. Any number that prevents you from doing that is too many. In the sector, I sometimes hear conversations that seemingly correlate the number of an organization's values to its strength, to imply that the more values an organization has, the stronger it is. And I would argue that the fewer organizational values you have that your employees, team members, and partners understand and incorporate into their work allows that organization to show up consistently and sustainably because it has an infrastructure supporting its work that's built according to those values. You miss opportunities to scale your impact or ensure that you're having impact when you increase the number of your organizational values simply to say that you have more values. Don't conflate an increase in the number of organizational values with creating an organization that follows those values. There's no direct correlation. It takes deliberateness, it takes fortitude, and it takes discipline to be an organization that lives out its values. And you can't do that with a large number of values. So the next time you do a vision, mission, and values exercise, make sure you're focused on identifying core values that resonate with the work in your approach, not more values. That's how you contribute to transformative outcomes. And that's our fast build. I want to hear how you are thinking about organizational values and infrastructure. I would love to hear from you and about your experience in the comments below. And if you're finding these Fast Forward Fridays helpful or informative, I would love it if you would like this video and hit subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend and keep building bravely.